Alright, you saw the Ultra on the last video. It's done for now. And it's time to move on to something hopefully a little easier. The Indy 600. Oh, Farley. Alright, so here's the 83 Indy 600 project. You know, frankly, we're going for something a little easier than that Ultra. This is a complete sled, and it ran when I bought it. But, of course, there's always some work you do. If Lonnie was here, what would Lonnie tell us to do?
Clean the carbs.
Clean the carbs. Lonnie, we're going to clean the carbs. Actually, Lonnie, you're going to clean the carbs, we think. Do the crank seals. I'm going to change out the track. This has got the stock track from 1983, and I got a ripsaw for it. Ripsaw is much better. And then I got a bunch of front suspension work to do. Trailing arms, they're rusty. I kind of want to get the radius rods painted up. I do have better trailing arms for it. And unfortunately, these aluminum skis, they're not mine. I bought this sled from my buddy Chad, and part of the deal was that Chad gets these skis back. So I gotta basically go through the whole front suspension. I might even dig out a set of Fox shocks for it from somewhere. I don't know. So there's the basic plan. I don't know how long or how many episodes it's going to take. It's going to be a lot faster than that Ultra, though. So we'll bring you back when we're doing something interesting on the sled.
Alright, where's the ball, Farley?
Well, we started by taking the hood off, and I just wanted to show you the motor. Those cylinder heads, 1983 only. Aren't those awesome? Otherwise, yeah, it's a pretty typical Indy 600. One other interesting thing about 83 is this is the only year of the Indy 600 that wasn't oil injected. This is a premix only sled. Hey, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. As we're doing the teardown, we already noted a modification. Thought it was a stock sled. Note the two weld seams. I believe this one is probably factory. I don't know. Look at all the wormholes in this other one. I believe somebody cut this can open and drilled a few extra holes inside. Similar to the SLP instructions for when you mod for a 404 kit. And no, I don't think this is a 707. It's supposed to be a stock 600. Well, here's a disaster waiting to happen. Do you see it? Scotch locks. You're gonna cut them out. We'll solder and heat shrink, fix it right. Those things are always just seconds away from failing. Well, one thing we've had a lot of trouble with here at Nutter Speed Shop for many, many years is getting the coolant out of an engine without making a giant mess on a snowmobile. You know, most of these Indies, there's no drain. TXLs, there is a drain, but even there, it's a little bit of a pain to use. So one of my buddies tipped me off. He says he's got a dedicated shop vac he uses, and I hemmed and hawed, and then I was talking to Dennis last night after we were done shooting, and Dennis says, get yourself one of those bucket head things that goes on a 5-gallon pail. So there we go. There's the bucket head. It's a nice little shop vac unit, or so it appears. So I'm going to set up the camera, disconnect the hose, and see what happens when we try to drain this thing. Alright, got the hose disconnected at the highest point here. And I'm just going to turn on the shop vac here, the bucket boss. Let's see what happens. Oh, apparently I have that on the wrong side. Well, there goes that idea of not making a big mess. Alright, well the level's pretty low. I mean, it's to the bottom of the tube there, which should be below the cylinders. I guess I'm going to disconnect the hose here next, and well, maybe I'll get my recoil rope out of the way and see how it goes. Well, disconnected both hoses off the engine, didn't get any coolant spilling, so I'm going to call that a win. Guess I'll try to vacuum out the coolers yet, see what I can get out of there, just to alleviate any future mess, but I think the shop vac is a winner. Picking away at the sled, and I just pulled the clutch bolt out. Oh man, I hope the end of the crank's okay. I think it probably is. Usually the crank's a lot harder than the clutch bolt. Got the clutch off. Long crank stub, which is what I expected from an 83 Indy 600. The thing that's curious is this bearing. Look at that. There's a seal bearing on there instead of a seal. I got in contact with one of my buddies who knows a lot about these type of things, and he's seen it before in some Centurions. So, I don't know. It's pretty interesting. I hope it works out okay, and geez, I hope this thing isn't suddenly turning into a money pit. 83 Indy 600 parts are not just falling out of the trees. Somebody recently left me a comment asking why I don't use the chain fall and I-beam to get motors out, and I don't know. Seems like a great idea. I guess, you know, when you got a bunch of people over, it's just easy enough to just grab it. But working by myself tonight, couple lifting straps, got her on the chain fall, lifted it right out. That was much easier than trying to grunt it out by myself. I'm not sure if I'm giving you any kind of a decent view on the threads in the crank. They're not too bad. There's a little bit of garbage in there. I mean, what'd you expect when the bolt looked like that, right? So I got the tap handy. I'm gonna tap them out. I don't know. Not too proud of them, but I think they'll work out just fine. Well, finished tapping it. It tapped pretty easy. Found another clutch bolt just to judge the play. She's pretty tight. I'm not worried about it. I'm going with it. What choice do I have? Where am I going to find another 83 Indy 600 crank? I gave some thought about this motor and how far I want to go into it, and I think the answer is not very much at all. So I came out this morning, it's Sunday morning, I decided to pressure check it, and sure enough, it's got a leak at the carb boot. I mean, there you go. But it doesn't appear to be leaking anywhere else. I can see the other carb boots are leaking too. I'm gonna watch this one go. I could just see it bubbling. There we go. You can see the bubbles growing off of there. So I'm gonna get these carb boots sealed up, but other than that, I don't think I'm going a lot further into this motor. Well, there was no sealant on any of the carb boots, and yeah, I know, you shouldn't need it. There's that O-ring thing, right? Except for I just pressure checked it and they were all leaking. So, I'm just going to stick this 3-bond 1211 on there, let it set up, I'll pressure check it again, and hopefully we'll be done with this motor. So I just want to say about this that, you know, you guys know I pressure check every motor, and the most common place to find a leak is the carb boots, and if that's all you got, yay, good for you. This particular motor, you know, I could tell it's been gone through. It looks like it's got some pretty fresh sealant, you know, like 3-bond good sealant on the case halves. It's got that mystery bearing. I don't really want to mess with it, but I don't think that the crank seals on this are ancient or anything like that, so I'm just going with it this time. Alright, I got her all sealed up. I got the 3-bond on there. You can see the ball valve shut. She's right at 12 psi, and she's been holding for quite a while now. So she's completely sealed, and I'm going to say good enough. We're going to run her. We're going to run her just like this. Well, I'm going to call it there for part 2. Part 1, of course, was many months ago when I first bought the sled. I did a little intro to it. So, you know, we got the motor out. The motor checks out good. We're going to run it. I was assured it was probably a good motor when I bought the sled. I don't know, I drove it onto the trailer and didn't make any funny noises. It pressure checks good. Good enough. So we'll be moving on to some chassis stuff next in part 3. And if you haven't hit that subscribe button yet, please, please hit the subscribe button. We're getting close to our 1,000 subscribers that we need to get monetized. And speaking of monetized, I want to thank the patrons for their support of the channel over on Patreon. We've got Aaron Shriver, Michael Johnson, Matt DeFosse, Charles Myers, Alex Sherrill, and Brandon Paraso. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. And if you want to, anybody else, if you want to help support the channel, get your name up there, check out the link in the description for the for my Patreon page. And I don't know, that's about it. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.